you like pina colada?
No, I have to pay a royalty. Thank you for joining this epic disaster.
Ow.
It's been quite a while since we've done a podcast. We forgot how to even open the show, apparently.
Did you start the show? Oh, shit.
It started. I feel like it's been a long... What'd you do?
I put hot wax on myself because I like pina coladas.
Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like we kind of forgot. I'm so rusty. So like all of last week, how did we do this? We did like a week ahead. I feel like, and then last week I was out of town.
Yeah,
I saw it coming.
Yeah,
we were going to do a Zoom podcast where I was where I was, and you were where you were, and we were going to do that. That didn't work out.
No.
I was dead tired, and you were sick, and so it didn't work.
It didn't work.
So we took last week off. Thanks to everybody for being patient. Thanks to our listener for being patient.
Thank you, listener.
And waiting for this week, which is a real podcast. We have an actual real podcast this week, like we always do. And so I don't know. I think we're going to kind of stumble through it, but we're going to start like we always start, which is with our live beer review.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I got more wax on me.
Well, if you wouldn't stick your hand in it, that's how wax gets on it. You stick your finger in hot wax.
We're going to drink a beer now.
All right.
Okay, so the beer that you have purchased for us.
I purchased it, yes.
Is by Chattanooga Brewing Company. Oh, I need glasses.
I was in Chattanooga, and I thought it would be cool to have a Chattanooga beer.
It's always cool to have a Chattanooga beer. It's called the Chattahooligan, and it is basically for the Boys in Blue. Let me explain what that is. The Boys in Blue is their Chattanooga football club, which started in 2009, and apparently they wear blue.
Yeah, now I guess that's a soccer.
Yeah, it's soccer.
Yeah, okay.
We call it soccer.
I guess they're still around. I haven't heard of them.
Football.
I
don't know what level they are. Like here in Atlanta, we have Atlanta United.
Right,
but they're up
top.
there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they're even in the same. Like, would they compete against Chattanooga? I don't think so.
Maybe they're trying to work their way up into the higher leagues or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'm not trying to insult. Sorry, Chattanooga Boys in Blue fans.
Yeah, I don't know the club.
Maybe you can educate us if you. But I just poured mine. It's very, very light.
It's cute.
Almost white.
It's pretty.
It's almost like a champagne.
So it says named after the CFC's most devoted supporters, which is Chattanooga Football Club, CFC. This light yet flavorful brew presents with a decided drinkability. Spalter Select hops give this German-style beer a slightly floral aroma and an effervescent mouthfeel. I like the feel in my mouth. Is followed by a crisp, clean finish. It's only 4.2% alcohol by volume, which is probably good because I've had a few cocktails.
Yeah, and it is light. Like I said, really, it's like a champagne. It's very light, but it doesn't smell heavy either. There's not a lot of aroma to it.
It's a Kolsch style.
I don't know what that means.
I know you don't.
I want some coleslaw.
No, look at your thing behind you. See if you find Kolsch on there.
I don't know where to even look.
Well, it would be close to Pilsner, I assume.
I don't even know where that is.
Look in the. Okay, let me see if I can find it. We're looking for Kolsch.
I'm looking. There it is.
There you go. So it's in the mixed styles. It's right by the Bier de Garde, the Alt Bier.
Smoked beer. That sounds good.
Oktoberfest, Vienna, blah, blah, blah. It's down there in the mixed styles. So Kolsch style beer.
Number 55. All right, I'm going to try mine.
Go for it.
Okay, not what I was expecting.
Yeah. So you remember those beers that you would get in the bottles that had the little, like, flippy toppy thing on them? Where you had to, like, flip it like that, and then it would come out. That's a Kolsch.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Mickey's?
It came in that kind of... No, it wasn't a Mickey's. It was something else.
Okay.
It was green.
It sort of tastes familiar. It tastes like something I've had before, but anyway. It's very clean, very nice. Okay.
Good. I like it. You can drink a lot of these, I think. I don't need to.
Well,
I don't intend to.
Let's talk about our weeks, what's been going on, where we've been, what we've been doing. We didn't do a podcast mostly because I was out of town this time.
And I was ill.
I was I'm not going to say the exact city, I don't
Okay.
think, because I'm going to say some bad things about the city.
That's fine.
I was outside of Memphis, let's say that.
Okay.
In Arkansas, somewhere in Arkansas.
Okay.
Outside of Memphis. And here's why I want to say that. I don't want to offend anybody who might. I don't think we have any listeners there. At least not yet. I did leave some stickers behind.
Nice.
But so what I don't understand. So usually little small towns, when they're close to big towns, and Memphis is not a small city.
No.
So this was pretty close to Memphis. But it was like it was so secluded. It had nothing. There was nothing there. You couldn't even get a start. There's no Starbucks.
Really?
Now, there were only chain restaurants, McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, things like that.
Fast food stuff.
All of that. There were a couple of little grocery stores, but it's one of those places where the little mom and pop places survive and thrive.
Yeah.
Restaurants and grocery store. I mean, you could have like the off-brand grocery stores there.
Like,
they did have a Kroger.
what do you consider off-brand?
Well, it would just be like
Joe Bob's or
fresh food market or something like that.
Okay.
We have one here like down the street from us called Super Fresh Foods.
yeah, but it's not like a Kroger or a Publix.
No, it's not a
or-
chain at all. I just think it's a somebody
Albertsons.
local owns it. I think.
Yeah.
And it's a decent sized grocery store, but if you go in there, you only get one choice of anything. If you want cake, all they have is like chocolate. You can't get a lot of cake, so it's just really for an emergency. If you need some oil or something like that. But I was just surprised at how there was just nothing there, and it was just boring.
And how far from Memphis would you say it was?
Not far at all.
Driving distance, maybe
30 minutes, maybe,
Okay.
if that.
Well, think about this, because since we're having a Chattanooga beer, you and I used to live in Chattanooga.
Right.
And halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville is a little place called Athens. Now, Athens, I used to live in Athens for a while, and I
did
worked
too.
there. The grocery store wasn't the big grocery store.
Hey,
There's an
okay.
Ingles there.
Yeah. And I don't know what the situation's like now. You haven't lived there in...
It's been several years.
Yeah.
But, again, the biggest name restaurant was Applebee's.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a downtown. There was a area called downtown Athens where there were a couple of actually cute little coffee shops, a thrift store, a gallery, art gallery, stuff like that. But again, it felt very cut off from any kind of city. And it was, an hour between two of the biggest cities in Tennessee.
Well, I in the 80s, when I was a young person, I dated a girl who went to Tennessee Wesleyan College, which is in Athens.
Yeah.
And she would say the same thing. There was nothing there for them. And so they would either choose whether they were going to spend the time in Knoxville or Chattanooga.
Yep.
It's about an equal drive. And that's why I lived there, because at the time I was married to someone who was from Chattanooga and worked in Chattanooga, and I worked in Knoxville. So it was exactly halfway for both of us to go to our jobs. About an hour, a little less than an hour drive. Not too bad, I guess.
And Knoxville is growing south, so
in a way.
It's getting closer, which brings more things down there. But I think the reason that Athens itself, and this is just my personal opinion, hasn't become like a good stopping point between the two is because the county that it is in is dry. Yeah,
I know those are changing too. I mean,
well, it was. I mean, it might not be now today, but it was when I lived there.
Well, we lived in Ottawa for a while, which was dry, and Collegedale was dry. But now they do
Ottawa
have.
wasn't dry.
Now they are now.
They have package stores.
You couldn't get it at a restaurant. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
You couldn't get. They didn't have liquor by the drink. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
And you could buy it. I guess you could go to a wine store or something like that. But and maybe it was just Collegedale. Maybe Ottawa.
It was just Collegedale because
be.
Trust me, I went to restaurants and all.
Because Collegedale's Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist, largely Seventh-day Adventist town, and didn't they? I guess they just didn't want liquor.
Right.
So, but I've heard that's changed now. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't think this is of any interest to our listeners.
To anybody.
Sorry, listeners.
Sorry, guys.
But yeah, it was actually closer to Memphis, and I was amazed at how there was nothing there, and it was very, I want to say backward, and just had a weird vibe to it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
But
and
you
so
got your job done.
I got the job done. It was fun. We worked for a medical facility,
Uh-huh.
pediatric facility, building it had a lot of animals in it.
Okay.
So it was a lot of fun. If you go to one of my pages, studio pages or something,
We can watch you
see some
create
pictures.
some of those animals.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
there's
we
some
can
videos,
also watch you doing some actual painting on the walls at the facility.
Yeah, if somebody wants to see that, they could just go check out some of my Facebook pages and send me an email if you want to see it. But anyway, it was exhausting.
I missed you.
It's tiring. I missed doing the show. It was fun. I mean,
okay.
I wanted to
to
get back in and do the show.
You didn't
man.
miss me. You missed the show.
I missed everybody. It was
Totally
really
fine.
weird. I was
Whatever.
telling my wife it was. I for some reason I got kind of in an emotional mode when I was there. I missed her more than I've missed her like anytime I've been out of town.
Really?
And so we had a friend that kind of came with us and worked for a week, and then she left. And it was just like, I just missed the people who worked on the projects. Like, I wanted to get everybody back together. It just felt weird being by myself. But I had this weird experience when I was working, and I don't know how to explain it. So I will just say that this project, as projects go, was one of the larger ones that we've done.
Okay.
And
like how big? Like, explain the square footage.
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't necessarily mean square footage, because square footage it wasn't, but just the size of the project itself was very large. And the things that we did were things that I've wanted to do for a long time. We did a lot of sculpture. We did animal heads, animal faces, and things like that. But somewhere I was working, and I was just looking, and I knew it was going to be really good, and I knew it was going to be one of our better projects. And while I was working, I just got this feeling, and I can't explain it, but something just said, "Now's when you stop.
Really?
Now's when you quit."
So this is it. Like
It was
something in you said you're gonna go out on top. Like,
yeah,
this
and
is
I actually thought about that. It was just like, Seinfeld or MASH or something, when they talked about they left while they were at the top of their game.
right.
But I don't. Well, first of all, I can't afford to quit my job.
Right.
So I don't know what that was, but it was just a feeling, and it was kind of like, and I don't know if it was just like I just completely stopped the job, but it was just like, now's when it's time to do something different.
Okay.
So maybe mix it up, change it up, I don't know.
Like you've reached a pinnacle.
It was just like, you did that. Now there's no need to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Now do something else. It's sort of an artist thing, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know what will become of that, if anything.
But that's what you've been doing now for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks? That's where you were?
Oh, installing. I've been working on the project since November.
I know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was about 2 weeks we worked on it, the past 2 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I have a few topics to discuss today, and I just remembered one I didn't tell you about. But let's do a little Would You Rather first.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I had a couple of things I was going to say with it, but I can say those later. Let's do Would You Rather.
Okay. You want to go
Would
first?
you rather? Sure. Drop a little stone.
Yeah.
I forget how to do this.
It's been so long.
Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm feeling blue.
It's green.
But see, blue is in my hand, so that's why I was feeling blue.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Chattahooligan.
You were
Boys
probably
and Blues.
feeling blue while you were away from your wife for so long. Yeah. So green is ethics and intellect.
Yeah.
And my question for you, I will read as soon as I put some glasses on, because my eyesight has gone so far downhill in the last
That
few
happens
weeks.
when you get old.
Shut up. Would you rather have restricted freedom and no crime, or unrestricted freedom with massive rates of crime?
I don't know what restrictions would be on the freedom. That would be the thing. I mean, I would trade a little bit of freedom for less crime, but I don't know. It depends on what the freedom was.
What would be stripped from you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to. Freedom of the press is important. Freedom of speech is important.
Yes.
All of those things. But the illusion, we don't have free speech. We don't necessarily have freedom of the press.
True.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not allowed to do or to say.
We're currently under curfew here in Atlanta.
Yeah. So I mean, there are certain things that I think it's just it is kind of an illusion.
True.
So I don't know. I'll do the first. I like the idea of no crime.
I do too. If it's no crime,
Yeah.
depending on what I'm expected to give up,
Mm-hmm.
I'd consider it.
What if it was every day? It was a continual curfew at 9:00 for no crime.
That sounds excessive.
It does.
Yeah.
But no crime.
Well, I guess
if there's no crime, you can't enjoy the late nights.
You'd have to get really good at planning. Like if you wanted to hang out with friends past 9:00, like you'd have to intend to stay somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't be out going home.
And you couldn't break curfew.
Right.
Because that would be a crime.
Right.
And there's no crime. So you wouldn't be able to break the curfew.
Gotcha.
Ever. No.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, it's my turn.
Shuffle them up. Did you put it back?
I put it in the right place. Just, you're going to read
Shuffle the colors. Green again.
Mine is green too.
Green, the color of boogers. Also, ethics and intellect. Would you rather your boa constrictor eat your neighbor's dog?
Aww.
Or your dog attack your neighbor's child, but not injure him or her seriously? That's the weirdest question we might have had on this show.
I think that's an excessively odd question.
Why would you want your dog to attack your neighbor's child but not injure the person seriously?
Maybe they just need to be scared shitless, so they shut the hell up.
I mean, if the dog is the one that's doing that to the kids, I would be fine with if the boa constrictor ate the dog.
If the dog was attacking a child and the boa constrictor ate the dog, I don't know why she swallowed the fly, but yeah.
So you go with the boa constrictor eating your neighbor's dog.
It's not my dog.
I get it.
That's an impossible question for me to answer.
It's kind of a weird question.
Yeah, I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
So one of the places, one of the weird things about where I was, and I had gone down there before we did this project, and the roads were weird, insane, dangerous. There's and this probably happens in other places too. Maybe when I say it, people will recognize. But there's like a way for cars to access the interstate or the main road from these back roads.
Okay.
And so to do that, they have to cross. So like you're coming one way, and the car here, like this, the car is coming down a street, and then. But they have a sign that says yield.
Right.
And the car here wants to get on the interstate. The way they go to the interstate is they go like that.
Yes.
Right in front of the other car. If you do not see the yield sign, you will head on that car.
Yes. There are a couple of areas like that here in Marietta, which is just north of Atlanta, where one street goes this way. It's like it creates an X across the street. And there's not really a light there.
No, there's no light.
It's just a yield sign.
And if you're, number one, if you're from out of town, or two, if you're just don't see it because it's dark, and that's the thing, it's not lit up. If they had like a warning sign, that would be a little bit different.
Or even that, like, you think about it, you hear stories about kids going out and being stupid and like stealing stop signs.
Yeah.
They're murdering people.
Yeah, I mean, if something like that happened, because. So, like, the first time I went, I freaked me out, and I don't think I saw the signs, and I mean, I almost hit somebody. It was just insane. So we kind of learned a little bit about that, and we were like, so we were very careful when we came to those little areas.
Sure.
All right, so last night there, we had finished a project, and we had to stay in a hotel and then get up the next morning to come home. So we had to find our hotel, and I'm driving to the hotel. My GPS is saying turn left at the light or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so I go up to the light, and then you know how sometimes your GPS is like a little bit behind?
Yeah.
And then you realize, I'm supposed to have turned back there.
Right.
And that happened, but all of a sudden I am in a turning lane for the other side.
Oh, no.
Going straight ahead, my lane disappeared, and I am in the turning lane for
going left
the opposing side.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, holy shit. And I turn my wheel really quick, and I go up over a curb, a little concrete curb, go over it, and then I get back down onto the street where I am, and I'm like, oh, okay, at least I almost went the wrong way. And then all of a sudden blue lights in my window, in my mirror.
No.
Blue lights.
No.
And I know this cop is just like, oh, here's a drunk guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being in a big van, he's out late at night driving drunk.
No.
Getting in the wrong lane. So he pulls me over. The guy gets out and says, "You lost?"
Clearly.
And I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "You guys have the strangest roads here. I don't know how anybody keeps from dying." And he was like, "Well, we call that area Malfunction Junction." I was like, "You know about it.
And you stop me anyway.
But not only that, just like it's not marked.
You don't fix it?
You know it exists and you don't do it." Holy crap. But anyway.
Did you get a ticket?
No, fortunately. He was nice. He said, I told him we were looking for a hotel. And he said, "Do you need a police escort?" And I said, "Yes, please." And he led us right to it.
No, he did not.
Yeah, he didn't even get out of his car. He took us right there into the parking lot. We went in the parking lot. He drove on.
Well, that was very nice.
It was. It was a good cop
he gave you
maneuver there.
He gave you a
little escort. Yeah, it was kind of fun. But he checked us out really carefully.
Oh, I bet he did.
Checked my driver's license, ran it up. And
so who was in the car with you?
It was just me and the guy I work with.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I think that might have turned out differently if it was you and the girl that you had doing painting.
Oh, I don't know.
He might have eyed you a little closer.
Nah, we were fine. I don't think I think he could tell we weren't. I mean, wasn't. That was just an honest mistake. He saw my license. I was from out of town. I was like, I don't know your roads, and that's really weird. And obviously, I was in the wrong lane. And he could have given me a ticket, I'm sure.
Sure.
If he just needed money, but fortunately he didn't. So that was cool.
Cool.
I didn't.
So you came out unscathed.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
I didn't get killed though, so that was cool.
That is nice.
My little police escort. But the roads there, man, I've never seen roads like that before. So, and also while I was there, this was interesting too. My TV, we stayed in like an Airbnb. So my TV didn't get regular TV. So all I could see was like, I think it was like Roku. Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Is that,
yeah.
And so it's just, I didn't know how to maneuver Roku. I've got Apple TV at home, but I also have cable. So I couldn't get around on it. And it was all these kind of strange channels, but I found like 2 channels.
Uh-oh.
So I found...
Were you watching porn?
No, I wish they had porn.
Oh, okay.
So I found 2 channels. I don't know why they're there, but one was live performances of Billy Joel from the 70s.
No.
And one was live performances of Billy Joel from the 80s.
No.
So one night I watched all of the 70s performances, and one night I watched all of the 80s.
That's like hours of entertainment.
And while I was watching the 80s, I recognized the video. I was like, oh, I used to have this video. So I immediately got it on Amazon and I ordered it. And so now I have it again.
Wow.
But it just reminded me, Billy Joel, because I saw Billy Joel in concert, I think it was 2 years ago. We talked about it on the show. And if you're new to Billy Joel, if you're a young person and you don't know, I guess it's like Frank Sinatra, me growing up and seeing Frank Sinatra, who was white-haired and a little plump, and in his 60s and 70s. That's the Frank Sinatra I know. But Frank Sinatra, back in the early
hot.
days, he
was
young.
everywhere.
Yeah,
was so
when he did movies and
Yeah.
stuff, he was a good-looking dude. So Billy Joel now is just bald and rotund.
After his white hair phase, yeah.
He's bald and he's got a big gut, and
Yep.
he's just a short, round, old guy.
Who plays piano really well.
Yeah. And even that, his piano playing skills have kind of dropped off. But this was Billy Joel in his prime. And I mean, he was like wailing on the piano, jumping up and down, and just, I immediately, we talked about in this show before about me not really being nostalgic, but I just immediately went back to high school and college when that was, he was my Eddie Van Halen. He was my, I don't know who the rock god is today.
I don't either.
But he was that to me. And I just remember when I was watching him play, he didn't play piano like anybody. He just he almost like Jerry Lee Lewis, just like
he worked that piano.
Banged on the piano.
Yes.
And I just flashed back to my early years when I just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Well, it was the coolest thing ever.
And so I ordered the video, and
Good for
I
you.
showed my wife, and I was like, this was everything when I was in college right here. And she just kind of looked at me like I was the biggest nerd.
Well, you
Which
are.
I was. I
You're
was
a
biggest
Billy
fan.
Joel nerd, and that's okay. I think that the thing, though, that differs between me and you is I don't like to watch live performances on video. Like, I don't like that. Like, if it's happening right now live, I'll watch it, but I don't want to watch a recorded instance of a past thing.
Why? I love that.
Because it doesn't, I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable. And I don't know why. I have no explanation for that. I think I need therapy.
That is kind of interesting. So I guess last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Now, as you know, I have said on the show before, I'm kind of a big Jason Isbell fan.
Yes.
And his new album just came out like either last week or the week before that. And I bought it and I listened to it and I was just like, okay. And it didn't like overwhelm me. It was good, but it was just like, it didn't knock me over. And I was just like, okay, I need a few more listens to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time I listen to it, I like it a little more.
Grows on you.
But the thing about Jason Isbell, and I don't know if you even remember this, and maybe you do. It may have been after, but when we lived in that house in Ottawa together, that's when I discovered Jason Isbell. So when I would be down working in my studio downstairs, I don't know how, when, where, whatever, but I found I found him on YouTube first, but my very first Jason Isbell album was a live album. And so my experience with him is live, so I relate better to him as a live artist than I do a recorded artist.
Got you.
So he's got a live album where he's live at the Ryman. That's my favorite album of his. It's just awesome.
Really?
So all of his live albums I just really, really like. But his studio albums, it takes me a while. So I've listened to his studio albums and I've heard songs from his live album. And it's like, I don't like him as much on the studio.
You prefer
I really
the
like
live
him live.
version, yeah.
So I guess I'm more of a live person, so I'm sort of the opposite of you, probably.
Yeah, you definitely, because I prefer the recorded album version
Interesting.
of songs rather than the live version. And I know that some artists, every time they do a song live, they either add or subtract or change something in their song, and that's how they work, and that's how they, get their art out there. But for me, I'm just like, no. That's not how it sounds on the
Yeah.
I want it to sound just like that. So, yeah, I hear you.
Well, that's my week. It was fun. It was tiring. I don't know that I want to do it again. And who knows? Maybe I might be changing. I might be changing some stuff up.
Okay. Well, I guess yet
I'll
to be
keep
seen.
everyone informed.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little out of touch with our audience, with our group.
Do we have an audience?
I think we might, and I'm hoping that maybe some people are coming back, but
we shall see.
I think we might have an opportunity to reconnect here soon. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But how was your week? What went on with you while I was
couple of things.
Working hard.
A couple things. One thing, really quick, is I had a virtual game night the other night with some friends from work. And it was so much fun. Like, I was super excited about it because I'd played the old version of the game that we played.
No, wait. Describe what you're talking about. Virtual, you mean like were you playing games on the internet or whatever? Or were you like on like Zoom playing or something?
Okay, so we used a product called Discord, which
Okay.
is like, it's a persistent chat program, and you can make your own account and everything, and we all joined using Discord. We could see each other, and then when we jump into the game shows up as another screen. Like, there's Rick, there's Cheri, there's Maria, and then there's the game. But the game screen is much larger than the other people's screen. So you can still interact and see the other people while you're looking at the big game screen. Now, some of these games, I don't know if you remember the game You Don't Know Jack.
Oh, it's one of I'm not a game person, but that's one of my favorite games.
Okay, so Jackbox is still a thing. Like, they still have You Don't Know Jack, and they have several other games as well. And that's what we played. So we played You Don't Know Jack first, and it's essentially a trivia game.
But
Yep.
it's multiple choice trivia usually.
Oftentimes it's
Yeah.
multiple choice, and it's fast paced. It's
Yeah.
like bam, bam, bam. Here's
But
your
I always
option.
liked it because it had the original guy, especially had this like really kind of sarcastic,
Same guy.
wisecracker.
Same guy is doing it. He was called Cookie.
Interesting.
Remember in the thing, his name was Cookie.
I don't remember that.
Okay, so same guy.
I
is
do know
still
that the
hosting it.
very, very first person was the one I liked, and then they got a new person who was sort of like him, but it wasn't the exact same person.
And then in the background, you had the woman who would explain instructions.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So we played that game. What it is like the screen is like it would be on your computer back when you played. And then you would put answers, because we're all playing against each other. You use your phone to put in your answers.
Right. We
so
should do that.
It's so much fun.
Did we ever play, Jack?
Not together.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know. I think I played it. Who did I play it with? I played it with somebody.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
But they have another game now in the Jackbox series that's called Fibbage, which is very much like Balderdash. So basically, you have to come up, like, it'll give you a word or something, and then you have to come up with a like a definition.
Yeah.
And then whoever votes for yours, like if you make it believable enough and people vote and think, yeah, that's the real definition.
So you make it up. They don't give you clues on a definition. You just have to kind of make it yourself.
You just make it yourself.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. So we did that Friday night, and I was so excited about it. I actually dressed up. Like, I put makeup on my face, and I have these LED lights that I used in my outfit. I mean, I went a little all out, and it was so worth it. We're going to do so many more of them. This was just a test run, and it was so much fun. Like, I could have kept playing all night long. And it reminded me how much I miss game night, like game night as a thing. I used to do it at least once a week with my first husband. We would go to his brother's house and play game night. And we would play things like Trivial Pursuit and, things like that. But she would make dinner. We would play games and drink and stay up until God knows when, until we were just done falling asleep. Yeah. And I miss that. Like, I don't have that anymore.
Well, you wanted, I remember at one point you wanted to try to put something like that together here in Atlanta. So maybe you can find some people to do it. I know that ESO Network, some of the people from there do a game night, don't they?
On occasion.
And now, Dragon Con is here. There's got to be a lot of people here who do that.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Oh, by the way, Dragon Con is not happening this year.
I heard that it is. They haven't canceled it yet.
Okay.
That's what I heard, but
we'll see.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Some people don't. They're not holding out any hope for it. But
yeah, I don't know.
Last I heard it, they haven't canceled it yet.
Okay.
But I could be wrong about it.
Okay.
Maybe they just recently did.
So game night, it's a thing. I enjoyed myself enough that I want to make it a thing, even if it's virtual. And anybody listening, if y'all are interested in getting together for a virtual game night, just hit me up.
Y'all.
And I know. I'm so Southern now. Mm-hmm. But I said that even when I lived in Alaska, so bite me. So let's make that happen.
Game night.
Game night. Fun times.
Virtual game night, too.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
you don't have to worry about getting germs.
Well, let's talk about kind of along those same lines. We had a Zoom.
Yeah.
Before I went out of town, we did our first Zoom Hangout, which I thought was pretty successful.
It was fun. Yeah.
I'm kind of afraid to do another one. I'm afraid we'll ruin it. It won't be as successful. No one will show up.
Not all of them.
Everybody
will
be like, I went to that one and then just bombed. I don't care.
I don't think anybody on our first Zoom thought it bombed.
I heard from a few people who said they wish they'd showed up and they couldn't, and so maybe we might get a few. I don't know. We might get a few extra.
I'd love it if some of my actual, people I know that listen to the podcast because they knew me first.
Yeah.
Would join. That would be fun.
It's if you've
not that the people that joined, I didn't appreciate them being there because it was fun. Yeah, absolutely.
If you've never done the kind of thing before, you're not in the spotlight. You're just kind of on. Everybody gets on the screen, and you could sit there and not say a word. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
You can't. You can talk if you want to. Or you could just listen to other people talk. You could say hi. You could do whatever you want.
You can eat your dinner while you're hanging out with us.
Or
you can have a beverage.
Drink a beer or whatever.
You can get up and walk away and come back. It's fine.
It's not like there's no pressure. No one. A lot of people aren't staring at you, waiting for you to talk.
Except me. I like to stare at people.
Well, sometimes we talk to people. We want to know people's opinion and stuff.
We even let everybody do a would you rather.
Yeah, if you want to, you can do that. And so it's kind of fun. But we're going to do another Zoom Hangout. And so I think what we're doing is Sunday, a week. Sunday would be the 7th, June 7th.
Correct.
On a Sunday.
June 7th.
So we'll announce that on our website. If you're listening to the podcast, you get to hear it first. But June 7th will be our next Zoom. And I think it'll be a little bit shorter this time. We'll do maybe an hour Zoom, and that way we'll all kind of get together and chat a little bit, maybe have a little fun, talk, and catch up on what's going on.
And then call it a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so mark that on your calendar, June 7th. We don't have a time. I can't remember when we did it last time.
Last time, I think we put it together at 8 p.m.
Eastern? 8
Yep.
Eastern. That way other people, even Pacific, it's not too late.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want to do it.
And if we're only going to do an hour, it's,
Yeah.
everybody's had their dinner or they're in for the night.
You can have the
whatever.
dinner while you're doing it.
Sure, why not?
All right, so mark it on your calendar. 8 p.m. Eastern, whatever that is for you, on June 7th.
Yeah.
Will be our next Zoom Hangout.
Sounds like fun.
I still feel like we should do kind of a theme. We should. I don't know what theme. You were just talking about. You were in costume. It would kind of be fun if people were in costume.
Yeah.
Wear a costume or a hat or something.
I've got an idea. I'm just going to throw it out there right now. Sci-fi.
So sci-fi.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you have a sci-fi costume, or if you can put one together from the time you listen to this until the Zoom, put it on, even if it's just silly makeup or whatever.
Yeah.
Come as your sci-fi character.
So this will be our sci-fi Zoom.
Yeah.
Sci-fi Zoom, June 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern. That'll be fun.
I think so.
And we won't do anything really necessarily sci-fi. We'll just we'll just be the characters.
Yeah.
Oh, and should we do like a prize for the best costume?
Oh, that might be fun.
Like a little Zoom costume
What
contest.
if I'm the best?
You rarely are, but
Wow.
I don't think you can win because
wow.
Yeah, I don't think you can win because you're part of the show.
Okay.
So I don't think so.
I'm affiliated, not allowed to win. Something else did happen this week, though, and we'll mention the Zoom again at the end of the podcast. But something else did happen this week that I want to talk to you about.
Uh-oh.
I need your help.
Oh, no.
I had a dream.
Oh.
I need you to interpret it.
Okay, I can do that. That's my specialty.
It's pretty deep.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was a very long dream, but I won't go into all the details. I'll just go into the pertinent ones.
Okay.
So in this dream, there are two outside people aside from me.
Okay. You're not an outside person, but two outside people.
Two other people. Well, I mean, there's several. Okay. Anyways, they're two main characters that I am not one of them.
Okay. So there were three people in your dream.
But there's a lot of other people in the background happening.
But these are the main people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm dating both of them.
At the same time, do they know it?
Yes. And it's more of a casual dating kind of a thing. I'm not like.
Are you getting laid?
There's no sex in the dream. Let's put it that way.
All right. So you can stop right there.
No.
I don't want to know anymore.
I mean, well, we might be having sex, but it didn't happen in the dream.
Okay.
One is male and one is female.
Okay.
They're both therapists.
Okay.
This is where shit gets weird. They both know about each other.
Okay.
I've been in the same room with both of them. And when one of them walks into the room, I tend to light up because I'm happy to see them.
Which one?
Both of them.
Okay.
So even if I'm sitting in a room with one of them and the other one walks in, I will light up and be happy to see that person.
Okay.
Okay? And never once was there any kind of jealousy when that would happen.
Okay.
Like they were comfortable with the situation and so was I.
They probably had somebody else too, right?
It's possible because like I said, it's casual, right?
Polyamorous. That's what the kids call it today.
But not really, because polyamory involves relationships with people that involve multiple people.
Well, what were you in a relationship with them? You were dating them.
No, we were just dating.
You weren't getting laid.
Possibly.
I don't know what kind of relationship this is.
Anyways, so here's the thing. One of them, the female, and mind you, they don't look like anybody I know. The female was a therapist that worked more with a healing. And she worked in meditation and movement.
Okay.
Like physical movement.
Yes.
And she focused on healing. The male that I was dating was a very different type of therapist who worked on self-improvement.
Okay.
And he worked on more like visualization and kind of like putting yourself in a different situation mentally, stuff like that. So, two very important things, I think. Healing and moving forward. Okay?
Okay.
Those are my therapists. And I'm dating both of them.
Okay. But
never,
not getting laid.
Apparently not.
Okay.
Never once was there any jealousy between them until we went to, oh, you were in the dream too. We went to this facility that was like, I want to call it like an assisted living facility, but
So I was there.
I know. Yeah,
Is that
you
what
were
you're
there.
saying?
Yep. No, you weren't living there. You were decorating it.
Oh.
And you were actually putting together some really awesome, you were doing like this section of the room to look like Whoville from The Grinch. It was fun. I don't know why you were doing that, but that's what you were doing. Anyways, we were there and I arrived with her. No, I arrived with him. And then she showed up and we were discussing, they both had sessions planned there for the residents. Okay, so they were going to be working with the residents in group type therapy sessions because that's what they did. They did group therapy, not one-on-one. Now, at one point, I realized that both of their sessions were happening at the same time. A healing session and a self-improvement session. Okay? I said to her, who was doing the healing, oh, I was planning on going to his session at that time for self-improvement. At that moment, she showed disappointment and jealousy. She was upset that I was bypassing healing to go to self-improvement.
Okay.
And I went ahead. I told her I would try and do both. Somehow I would like move between the sessions and try and do both at the same time. And she said that won't work. So this is where I feel the dream gets kind of literal.
Okay.
But I went ahead and I went to his session first, the self-improvement session, and we projected ourselves into animal figures. And in that session, he became a dog, not like a vicious dog, but he did get very barky in my face. Like, rah, 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 rah. And it scared me, but I decided to stay because I thought there was some improvement happening. I never made it to her session. And after the session, I went to her and I was going to apologize for not making her session like half and half like I had chosen to do. And she said something to the effect of, well, it's just not going to work. So, yeah. What do you think?
That's it.
Pretty much.
Well, there's a lot of ways, a lot of angles, and a lot of different takes on that. But at first, my first thought would be that both of the people were aspects of you.
Of course.
But then, as I listened, I was like, it's not about that. I feel it was totally different. I really feel like it is, with you, it's a struggle of friendship. You are evaluating, thinking about, maybe obsessing about your relationship with your friends. And it is you not wanting to disappoint your friends. It is you feeling like you have disappointed your friends and you trying not to disappoint your friends. So I feel like that it was more about your relationships with other people than about your relationships with you.
Really?
Yes.
That's an interesting aspect.
That's what I think.
Because I went really literal with it. Like my interpretation is you can't move forward to self-improvement until you heal.
I mean, that could be it. And there are that's what I was saying. There's a lot of ways you could look at it, and you could even take little bits and pieces of that out and get a message from it. But I just feel like that overall it is about your relationship with, and those things, those pieces of those could be connected with certain friends or certain friendships that you are struggling with.
Okay.
So you're maybe thinking about or struggling with a friendship that you feel like is going to make you grow or make you whatever, I mean, those things that you were going to the seminars about. Right. And I don't think it matters whether it's actually a male or female friend that you have. It's just about your friends. And I think it's very important that there was no sex. It wasn't a sexual thing.
No.
Even though you were dating them, it was still almost more on a friendship level.
Yes.
It was a lot more casual, and there was not a lot of intimacy.
That's correct.
So I feel like it's more about struggling about a friendship. I feel like if it was about you, if it was a deeper thing, there would probably be more intimate connection involved. So I do feel like that it is more about maybe your work relationships with people. You're having some trouble with the people that you're working with. You're feeling alienated by some people. You're feeling closer to some people. You're struggling on which way that you're going to show your loyalty or something like that.
Okay.
That's what it seems like to me.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody else has any thoughts on my dream, and I know it's in depth, and if I had told the entire dream, it would have taken the next hour because it was a long.
That's
intense
basically
dream.
it, right?
Yeah, my mom was in there somewhere. And so was my sister, by the way. That was an interesting part, is that my mother transformed from looking like my actual mother to also looking like my stepmother, and then my stepmother turned into some like 20-something woman with
But your mother going from your mother to your stepmother, it's kind of the same thing. You're having some disjointed connections with relationships in there, and changing. Your mother is supposed to be a relationship you're very close to, and your stepmother is supposed to be a relationship you're not. And I'm saying general,
right?
People have different things, but I'm just saying from a symbolic or archetypal standpoint. There's some distance in one and intimacy on another, and one that is supposed to be intimate flips to a non-intimate. So there's some struggle in you on making connections with people, and I feel like it's more. It could be family involved, but I feel like it's more with friendship.
Well, my friends are
on,
my family.
Totally, yeah, I know that about you, and that's the thing. I feel like that you are. You're pondering in some ways, even on a subconscious level, about the connections you have with your friends.
Okay.
Seems like it.
I'd be interested to hear other opinions if anybody has one. If you don't, that's fine too. But if you do, you can send it to us via email at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com.
That's true. You can do that, and just anything you want to send us at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com, please
even if it's a voucher for psychotherapy.
That's true.
I'd be fine with that too.
When I was a kid, one of my favorite shows was Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Starsky and Hutch?
It's a little bit before my time.
That's the 70s. Well, you were born in the 70s.
I was born mid-70s.
Starsky and Hutch was my favorite show. My brothers and I used to play Starsky and Hutch. I was Starsky.
Nice.
And my brother was a blonde, and he was Hutch. And so just perfect. And we used to go to church. It was so cool when we go to church because you could wear suits. Now, Starsky and Hutch didn't usually wear suits. They were kind of cool. But we would wear suits when we go to church, so we had little BB guns or pellet guns or water guns.
You took guns to church?
Oh, yeah. Stick them in your belt. So it could be like Mannix or whoever the cop was. But Starsky and Hutch was one of my favorite. And they had that cool car,
Yes.
But so the last couple of days I was watching. No, it was like yesterday. Yesterday I was watching Starsky and Hutch on some nostalgia channel. I don't know. It just happened to be on. And an episode came on that I had never seen before. Starsky and Hutch fight the Satanists.
What?
I never knew Starsky and Hutch fought Satanists before, but that was an actual episode. It was so bizarre. I don't ever remember that.
See, back in the 70s, even law people, like officers of the law, detectives, even the FBI, they didn't understand Satanism.
No one does.
Or what, like, people... Like, they thought there were actual Satanists out there, like...
That's the way these people... At first, when I first saw them, I thought they were space aliens. Because they had them... They were wearing these very strange outfits. And they had these big medallions around their neck. And they talked in a strange language. And we must go sacrifice the girl.
Oh,
and,
my God.
Weird stuff. And so... Actual Satanists, most Satanists don't actually believe in Satan.
Right.
It's more of in some ways, it's more of a political movement now.
Yeah.
They kind of use Satanism to bust up church and state kind of combinations, things that they feel like that politically shouldn't be happening. And there's a great movie out, and I can't think of the name of it now, but it is about the Church of Satan. And if you get a chance to watch it, please do it. It's actually very, very funny. But yeah, back then, I guess, the Satanists were scary.
Yeah.
They would meet in their little scary little covens, and that's what was going on. But Starsky and Hutch,
wow,
infiltrated and busted them up, and they kicked the Satanist ass.
If it weren't for you meddling Starsky and Hutch, I would have gotten away with it.
Yeah. At one point, though, they were like, "You're something about you will be the bride of Satan forever."
Oh my God!
And this cowering girl in the corner, but she actually ended up being like the daughter of the sheriff, and he was trying to find her, and it was crazy stuff.
That's crazy.
Oh, and one episode, and I kind of remember this, where my first crush, I think it was my first crush ever that I ever had, Christy McNichol.
Yeah. I mean, mine too.
She played Buddy on the show Family, and I can remember, I was telling my wife, I think that happened the year I went through puberty, because I just remember they would show this commercial, and I just felt funny.
Yeah.
It just did something funny to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I mean, of course, now she's come out, she's gay, but I didn't know anything about that. She was very tomboyish, and I think that was why she was just like, when you're a little kid,
you're like, she'd be fun to play with.
Yeah, she's like, she's one of the guys.
Yeah.
But she was in it, but there was Starsky and Hutch go to a jeweler. They go to a jewelry store, and there's the jeweler's in there, and he's very upset because they're leaving fingerprints on the cases.
Yeah.
And the jeweler, Mr. Miyagi.
No.
Was Mr. Miyagi.
No,
Yes.
It was not.
Pat Morita was the jeweler. That was
wow.
awesome. It was awesome seeing him in that.
Wow.
That's what when you watch those old shows and you go back and you look at them and you see, because I was watching some show that Marianne from Gilligan was on.
Yeah.
But you just see these little bit parts from these actors who, back then, that's what they were doing, just going from show to show, trying to make a living.
I like doing that. There's a show that was on Netflix. I don't think it is anymore. As a matter of fact, I looked it up the other day. Is called Midsummer Murders.
Uh-huh.
It's a British detective kind of show, like you solve it in an hour kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. There's the main detective and then his detective sergeant that's with him, and that person changes a lot. Eventually the main detective changes too, and that's when I stopped watching. But it's older, it's like from the 80s, I think, maybe mid 80s to 90s. Anyways, you see some of these British actors that are now like top names in movies,
right?
Or popular shows like Downton Abbey, that kind of a thing. And you see them on these shows and you're just like, wow, like they look so young and so different, and that's what they did first.
Yeah. I saw a Western with Bones McCoy on it.
No.
From Star Trek. Yeah, he was a bad guy. He was like a bad guy in the Western.
Wow.
It's so much fun watching these old channels, because when I was in my room where we were staying, and I couldn't get anything on TV, there was like this nostalgia channel, and all these old shows were on it.
You know what I used to think was weird is that the guy who played, Bones McCoy's character, his first name wasn't Bones, obviously. It was Leonard.
Right.
Leonard McCoy.
No.
Yes.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Did
Leonard
he change
McCoy. No, he went by Bones because that's what Kirk called him, was Bones, but his name was Leonard.
Oh, in the show.
Character's name was Leonard
it was
McCoy.
Like Leonard Nimoy.
See, that's what is weird to me, is because Leonard Nimoy played Spock, and then the Doctor was played by somebody else, but his character's name was Leonard McCoy.
It's going to drive me nuts to not remember his name.
Yeah. So I just wonder sometimes if they named
DeForest Kelly.
Okay. That feels very right.
Thank you. I would have driven me nuts all day if I hadn't have thought of it.
But it's weird that his character's name was Leonard, and there was actually an actor on the show named Leonard.
Yeah.
Is Leonard that popular of a name?
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
What other Leonards are there? Leos.
There's also Da Vinci, but that was
Leonard,
years
that
and
was a long
years
time
ago.
But Leonard Skinnerd? No.
No.
I don't know. I think it might be a more popular name than we think.
Okay.
Okay, it's a good time to stop this podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. We are happy that you join us again, and hopefully we're going to get back into the swing of things, and we're going to do some more fun stuff. We just kind of, like everyone, we've sort of been spinning our wheels until this quarantine is over with. We know that a lot of you people who normally listen to our podcast have kind of stopped because you're not going to work and you don't have any way to listen, and so I don't know, we're kind of on hold, but we're going to get back in. We're going to do some new things and some fun things and have some new features. But the Zooms are going to also be fun, and so we'd like for you to join the Zoom June 7th, 8 o'clock Eastern. That's our sci-fi Zoom. We're a sci-fi thing. We will put something.
If you have it. If you don't worry about it.
We'll put something on Facebook just so that you can remember. But yeah, please do. And let us know if you're still out there. Are you?
Are you really out there?
We need to know if you listen. We don't know if anybody's listening anymore. We're losing all of our listeners. But it'll come back. Everything will come back, and everything will be good again. Let's talk about our beer.
All right. So again, to remind you what we're drinking, we're having the Chattahooligan, which is a Kolsch-style beer by Chattanooga Brewing. And it's a beer that they made for the Chattanooga Football Club.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's good. It's light. It's actually lighter than a Pilsner, I think. But it definitely has a little bit of a different flavor. Yeah, I could drink this regularly.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. It's a nice, I don't know, we just had some pizza. It's sort of a nice pizza beer.
Yeah.
It's one of those things beers you could drink with food. It doesn't have such a heavy flavor that it's going to overpower your food.
It has an odd sweetness to it.
It's got an odd aftertaste, which I can't identify, but it's there.
Okay.
But anyway, I totally enjoyed it. You know, I've talked about before we started doing this podcast, my favorite beer was Coors Light.
Yeah.
And then the podcast ruined that. Now I can't even stand it.
No, it's nasty.
But this is one of those beers that's kind of like, and I'm not going to say it's like Coors Light, it's not, but it's that kind of a light, almost what I would call a utility beer, where it's just a beer you can have with almost anything.
Agreed.
Not a heavy flavor. If you're out mowing the lawn, if you're just out at a party, if you're doing something out this summer, it's a great beer just to have, you know, in that situation.
Yes.
I'm giving it a 3.5. I liked it okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Same.
3.5, 2.5.
Yep.
Yeah, it's you know, it's good. I
is
enjoyed
good.
it. I would have another one.
Sure. And you have more.
I got some. You can take one with you. All right, people, thanks again for listening. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram.
We're there.
Just communicate with us. We like to hear from you. Tell us what you want to hear us do on the show. If you want to hear a topic, if you want to be a guest on the show for any reason, you just want to hang out with us and be a guest, let us know. We have had somebody who said that they wanted to do that. So now that I'm back in town, we can work that out.
Yeah, for sure.
But we just, you know, it'd be a good opportunity for everybody who listens to the show to meet our listeners.
Yeah.
They get to know who they are.
So you have a community.
Sure.
People that listen to this epic disaster have a community.
Yeah.
It's very small, but but it does exist.
If your life is a disaster, like ours is a disaster,
yes.
You can at least be on a podcast by contacting us and say, I'd like to be on a podcast. But if you just have an interesting story you want to tell or whatever, you can just email it if you don't want to be on the podcast.
Same.
If you have a dream, I'll interpret it. If you have a relationship question, Cheri will definitely handle that.
Yeah.
But that's what we do here on the show. And we have a new show every Monday, and we like it when you hang out. And we hope you'll hang out with us next time.
Thanks for listening.
All right, we'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.